Welcome everybody to our webinar today on how to save time and maximize lead generation using marketing automation. My name is Trevor Bragg and I'll be your host this afternoon, and I am the head of sales at Eagle Software, and we specialize in real estate CRM and website solutions. And joining me today is one of our superstar clients, Taryn Quinn. She's the head of administration and digital at Sash & Gable Property. Hi Taryn, how's it going?
Hey, great, thank you very much for inviting me. I'm very excited to share my thoughts and ideas on such an exciting topic and the power of what a CRM can do.
Oh, that's great.
So thank you.
No problem at all, because when we were putting this webinar together, we asked the team, who should we have on this webinar? And first person to come to everyone's minds was Taryn. So that's
Thank
great.
you.
And I really appreciate
I feel very honored. Thank you.
I appreciate the time that you're giving us here today. So,
thank you.
And not just having Taryn here today with us, we're so pleased to see so many of our clients joining us today on this webinar. And we've also got a lot of people who are considering Eagle as their CRM provider, or people who are just interested in automation and maybe implementing that into their businesses as well. So this webinar, we're planning to go for about 40 to 45 minutes. And at the end, we'll have plenty of time to answer any questions that people have. There is a Q&A box up in the Zoom menu. So if you do have any questions, please post your questions in that area and we'll get to them at the end of the webinar. Also, towards the end of the webinar, Taryn and I will be discussing 3 marketing strategies that are really hopefully going to help you generate and nurture leads. And really at the end of the day, that's what people are wanting to do. They're wanting to grow their businesses. And the way you do that is by generating more leads. So we've come up with some ideas of things that you can implement today that are quite inexpensive that can help you generate leads. And as I said, we will be having that Q&A. So I think we should get right into it. And before we do anything, I think we need to ask the question, what is automation? And what I might do is I might break it down, and what we can see here is what we feel at Eagle is an automation from the technical side, but then we might ask Taryn what her thoughts are on how it applies to an agency. So when we think of automation at Eagle, we're thinking about helping agents set a minimum level of customer service across the agency, and also to create a consistent customer experience. But what does that mean? What we find is that within offices, there are people of different skill sets. And if you think about your typical sales agency, you will have agents who are quite good at maybe their follow-up and their communications, and you've got others who might be struggling with technology and doing their follow-up. So when we introduce automation into the CRM and the business, we can set a minimum level of service across all those agents so that every customer that's coming into our business and is being entered into the CRM, they are treated equally the same. And what it also does, it helps the agents with their workflow. Another point that automation helps with is business efficiencies. And at the end of the day, no one's got time. We're all looking to create extra time for ourselves. And it's not always more time to be spent in the business, but it's more than often we want to spend more time with our families, but we're constantly being dragged back into our work. So when we turn on automations, it can really help us create some efficiencies. It can take the mundane away from you, and the system can take care of doing those tasks and activities for you, and that'll create more time for you. And with this, it does help you work in volume. So things that can be done a lot quicker and with more urgency. And also, especially in this market where agents are experiencing a lot of inquiries and it's all becoming overwhelming and too much, we can help them work at that volume by answering inquiries quickly, updating people quickly with changes to properties. It's all done via automation. And ultimately, what it does for the principals of those businesses, it helps them customize and systemize their workflows. Everyone has an idea as to how they want their businesses to run, but we need a system or something computerized to help us with that workflow. And that's what we can do at Eagle Software. So I suppose from a technical side, Taryn, that's what we think an automation is. What is it in the real world?
And that's absolutely very well summarized. And I think to finally top that off, I think it best describes a wide range of technologies that reduces human intervention in any process.
Yeah.
So I think it encapsulates all of that, plus the reducing of human intervention. So well said.
Oh, thanks for that. Okay. So what we're going to do now, everyone, is, as I said, we're going to be running a couple of polls. And what we've got here is our first poll, very simple poll. And if you should see it pop up on your screen now. What we'd like to find out is, are you currently a client of Eagle? So if you can just quickly answer that question, I'll just bring that up. So you should see that there. And what we might do is give you about 30 or so seconds to start answering that poll, and we'll be able to share the results with everyone. And what we're doing at the end of this poll is we might delve a little bit deeper into Taryn and what she is doing at Sash & Gable in her role. Okay, so we'll close this off in about 10 more seconds. It looks as though 100 people have answered. Thank you very much for that. That's great. So we'll end the poll and I'll share the results with everyone. So it seems as though we have a very high percentage of our clients with us today. So once again, thank you very much, guys. And also, you know, almost 10% of people who aren't clients and 11% of people who are considering Eagle. So thank you very much, everyone, for doing that poll with us today. So Taryn, your role at Sash & Gable. What exactly do you do, and why were you brought into the business?
Thank you very much. That's a very interesting question. And I think there's really two parts to this answer. Primarily coming from past roles in administration, technology, research and development. I've been instrumental in the designing of frameworks and systems and the policies and procedures for the staff at Sash & Gable Property. And second to that, just driven by a passion for innovation and a fierce advocate for early adoption, I look and seek out the possibilities in this evolving digital landscape that is moving quite rapidly. And I firmly believe that technology should be a supporting tool for Sash & Gable and the driving force behind their digital innovations. Okay. So once we have that sort of general look at it, I came in with a holistic approach of the administration and the digital function. And I've implemented some other really cool features into their office agency window, one of them, which is their digital display that links directly to Eagle software in real time, through managing their Google and their social media platforms, as well as maximizing each of the portals that we push to benefit the agency in any way we can. And I just feel like it's innovations and improvements like these that help empower Sash & Gable's agents, and it allows for the business to really measure what matters.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. So prior to coming on with Sash & Gable, they weren't using Eagle, were they? So
no, that's right. So we needed to look at the change because we needed to consider the growth of the business and how we could scale up. So the change was very instrumental, and we were looking at all different solutions. Yep. And we so happened to come across Eagle.
Okay. Yeah. And why did you choose Eagle when you did look around? You looked at some of the other providers. What made you choose Eagle over those other providers?
Well, the nice thing with our team is we've collectively got years of experience in the industry and exposure to many other CRM providers. And the old CRM that we were using was just not meeting our basic needs. It was very clunky and inefficient. So we had to find a solution to help the team work smarter and not harder. Yes. And I found that after the demo with Jordan, it was such a fresh CRM. It had some really great features, and the team trusted me to onboard the solution, and I also had the trust in Eagle to deliver our basic business needs. And the longer I've been with the solution and the software, I've been able to get into the deeper side of it, which is really quite exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, you have delved into those automations quite a bit and really come up with some very unique automations specifically for your business. And it is very difficult because I'm assuming, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the automation was probably one of those key features that you felt could really help in the business. But in saying that as well, you know, it's very difficult for Eagle because we're dealing with so many different types of real estate businesses, and then to try and have everyone fit into the one mold for automations is quite difficult. But in saying that, we do have a good selection of automations. But yeah, I think yeah, you've been able to go in and really make them your own and push the envelope too with our team and making sure that we're implementing new trigger events and new options within those automations as well.
Yeah, and the thing is that we are a award-winning agency, both in the sales and the property management side. So we needed a solution to help our business operations be effective from a administration to a customer service centricity. That was highly important for us because our agency is in a very unique part of Brisbane and Wynnum. We understand our demographic, we understand our business model, and we needed the software to support us. And the solution had to work on a micro scale. So those are the small critical tasks, but we also needed it on a higher level where it was that large scale of contact interaction, which Eagle supports beautifully. So I touched on the fact that it was very flexible and highly customizable. And that's great because it can organize our contacts effectively without human intervention. So I have a lot of automations just doing the tidying up in the background that I don't think many of our agents know, but that helps them in other aspects of the use of the CRM. So when we're sort of doing that, the power of the filtering tool that they have, it helps the agents be so more time efficient, and also really gets them to nurture and actually massage and understand their contacts. So that was a very important part. And then again, it's touching on the customer service and making sure that we are respectful, because we are in a very unique market at the moment, and it changes and it evolves, and the customer expectations is new, and we're experiencing a new type of consumer.
Yeah. So what is that specifically? What are the consumers really wanting from you as a business, and especially around you know, their inquiries? What has changed in that regard?
I think with the power of the internet and so many search aids available to them, and that's social media, that's all the real estate portals, they're so well informed before they've even taken a step to either inquire or even come to an open home. So we had to look at our customer service and what our offering looks like. So it's the speed to intel. So again, the value adding, the speed to respond, and that's the time. People are time poor. They want information straight away because it's such a fluid thing at the moment, whether you're buying or renting. And the third thing is the value of our response. So what is our impact? And we have to know the information we're sending out needs to be well documented, and we have to know it intimately. Otherwise, we're just sending stuff out for the sake of it, which is going to cause further frustration to the customers.
That's right. We get it all the time when we're talking to agents. They are very much changing their perception on automation as well. Some systems are just sending out anything for the sake of sending it out without looking at the messaging and looking at, am I adding value to this communication?
Absolutely.
Is it more than what they can get by just looking at the ad on realestate.com or domain? So really that's something I believe you've done extremely well. And what it also means is that you get a much better reaction from the customers. I think you've even shared with our team some of the feedback from your customers in relation to the automated communications that are going out to them, which is just fantastic. So for us, it's great to hear that what we've helped you with is being able to have that superior customer service experience. These automations are working, and they're having an impact on these people, which is what we want, definitely.
And that's at the core of our mission at Sash and Gable, is to rewrite the real estate perception, setting new benchmarks in client services. And I think, with our internal processes, with the support of our CRM, I'd like to think we're doing a very good job, and I just want to commend my team.
Yeah, oh, that's great. Yeah, because it also makes me think about, we do outbound calls from our office to real estate agents, and the number that we're calling from is an unknown number. And many agents simply do not return that call, which to me is amazing, because they don't know who is on the end of that line. Maybe it's the market we're working in at the moment, and there's a lot of buyer inquiries, and maybe it's their way of qualifying these people to make sure that they are genuine. But at the end of the day, these are people. And if you're not going to return that call, now for all these people might have known, it could have been someone thinking of selling, at the moment. There's no listings, so I think you really need to be able to manage that workflow, and that's where automation can help. But it just goes to show that agents are just inundated, and they need systems to help them get through the day. Okay.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Well, thanks for that. So I thought what we might do is start to talk a little bit more about how an automation actually works, and how do we build an automation within Eagle. So what we've brought to screen here is what we call our trigger events. And we will come to our library a little bit earlier, so you don't have to get too into this, but just to understand that we can start automations based on a lot of parameters. So an example might be, if a contact is created within the CRM, we can start an automation from that. And it could be a very simple automation where we're sending them some information maybe on our business, and there could be a follow-up task after that, maybe a couple of days later. And these communications can be delivered by email or SMS. But we also have other automations around the contact as well. If someone is put into a group, or if someone unsubscribes from an email campaign, we can have other things happening from there. So in terms, and I know Taryn's very big on this with her automations, the group management side of things, especially when we're working with a lot of inquiries, a lot of data, we sometimes forget to put people in their appropriate group. So with our automations, we can ensure that the database is nice and tidy and people are where they're meant to be. So if we are sending out other types of communications like EDMs, we know that they are getting the correct information. But further to that, we can start automations based on properties, and this is where it gets really powerful. So anything to do with the property, we are more than likely able to start an automation from that. So some very simple ones: inquiry capture and automatic response to those inquiries. Now, that is quite common within the industry, but again, it is something that just helps, or it gives a great perception of the business that you've acknowledged the inquiry, the time they've taken to fill in that form, and that you will get back to them later. But then moving forward from that, any changes to that property. So if we have an offer on the property, if the property is sold, if there's price changes, anything to do with that property, that person that's initially inquired can automatically be kept updated with the status of that property. And again, that just goes to your customer service.
And that's very important. Sorry, Trevor, to interject there. It's really important, especially in the current market. It's that speed to let people know things are happening, because there's nothing more frustrating than people turning up to open homes and not realizing that the one that they've inquired on and not yet necessarily had a chance to go and see is probably already under contract. And these are really clever tools just to help you manage the expectation out in the customer.
That's right. Yeah. And that's probably the next point as well: contract management, having automations around that contract process to make sure that we have everything checked off that needs to be done, so that that sale can go through seamlessly and we can be, paid the money that's owed to us. So, and I know Taryn's going to go into that into a little bit more detail, but these are just some of the events that we can start automations from. And again, is to help you systemize the workflow. So yeah, what does an automation look like? And what I thought, Taryn, we might ask you, and this is probably one of the examples, but are there any automations that you've created that you found have been really successful or you've gotten most value out of?
Well, we've got quite a few running, but I thought this one was a really good one to share. Again, it's coming away from just the typical inquiry and email goes out. So this was a campaign that Gail Goby did at Sash and Gable, where we wanted to specifically talk to a certain type of potential vendor, because she's very in tune and aligned with her market and the style of home and people she is attracted to and is attracted to her. So we did a digital campaign hosted on our social media, and it was then asking people to come back to our website, which is all integrated in with Eagle, which is fantastic. And from there, we asked people to fill in a form. So then Gail can then speak directly to them and continue that conversation. So as you can see in this automation, the trigger was if somebody fills in this form, they go into a specific group. From this specific group, it is assigned to a contact, which is Gail. And then from then on, we've sent out some written word. You can add as many steps as you like, or you can do a text message, but we chose to do a written email. And then from there, it then notified Gail that this form is being filled in, and here is the contact. So it takes you to that contact record, and then a task to follow up if she hasn't already done so. So I think it's, again, appreciating what's coming in and managing it to also what's going out.
Yeah, that's right. Well, that again is quite simple when you think about it, how
Absolutely.
It's laid out, but very effective, so just managing that inquiry from, a social platform into the CRM, notifying the agents, and then that follow-up task. So by implementing these can really lead to, getting more business, I suppose. And it's just a matter of thinking, how can I use these with other channels that I have with my marketing to nurture these people as they're coming in. That's fantastic.
And you don't necessarily have to think of an idea that's out there. You can actually utilize the software. So we have another good one where it is triggered by a contract, the change of a contract status. So in this instance, it's a settlement. So as soon as we've marked that in the software, we have an automation that is triggered to the vendors who are listed in that contract, and an automation that's attached to the purchasers. And in that, we are actually sending another set of communication, whilst our agents are very much in our office phone calling, and I know the conveyancers also do the official side of things. It's just another layer of us thanking our vendors and our purchasers, and hope that their experience, met their expectations, and to, if they have the opportunity, to leave us some feedback, which is a brilliant automation. And the strike rate is almost 100%. So it's I think it just goes all the way from the beginning, from I think the appraisal to the listing, to the running of the campaign, through to contract. We're talking to these people all the time, and the nice thing about the software is we're also able to touch them in other ways that we don't have time to do. So that's that's another one, setting up using elements within the CRM.
Yeah. And just further to that contract stage, and it always comes up in my meetings with clients, everyone wants to do the purchaser anniversary communication, be it a letter, be it a card, be it an email. And where it falls down is, again, if that process is not automated, it gets forgotten, or you miss the opportunity when that anniversary rolls around, because you only get one shot at it. You can probably get away with it if it hits the month, but outside of that, forget it. So it is a very common one, but as you say, if you can tie it all in together, you can have that fully systemized process from appraisal through to settlement, through to future business with that person. Yeah.
And you don't have to think of an automation every time to actually be sending something out.
No.
You don't, because I think people can understand what is an automation versus, I guess a personal. Whilst we tailor our automation to be very personal and very relevant to our customers and our area. However, it could be a simple thing as actually just tasking you as the agent to pick up the phone. And, it's been 3 months, it's been 3 years since you sold it. But it's your service that you're providing your customers. And Sash and Gable is known for its repeat referral because we've just had years and years and years of having the customer at the forefront of everything we do.
Yeah, and that's interesting too, because I did notice you don't do an anniversary like once a year. It's actually every 3 months, is it, or every 6 months?
So
reach out to past purchases.
Yeah, we've got it for a 6 month. We've got every 6 months for a 3-year period, and it's beautiful because some purchasers buy little places that they wanted to renovate, and through that time period, it brings all the agents in the office such pleasure to be with those clients on their journey. And then it gets to the point where they now want to upsize. And so that's that whole cycle happens again, or, we want to downsize, or we want to go just round the corner. So it's a really powerful thing to have. And it doesn't always, like I said, it doesn't always have to result in an email or a text. We've got to remember that the human is so important, but we've got the software to help us and support us and keep us honest and real.
That's fantastic. That's the best explanation of how an automation should work in a real estate office I think I've heard. So that's fantastic. Thanks for those insights, Taryn. So I think the other thing we should really be talking about is a library of automations, because a lot of people out there might be saying, well, okay, I've got Eagle, or I'm considering Eagle. Where do I start? I've got all these wonderful ideas. I want to implement some of the things that Taryn's talking about, or I really want to systemize my team. Where do I start with that? And I think the good part of Eagle, and it really pleases everyone when I show them this, is we do have a library of pre-written automations ready to go. And what we do as part of our onboarding process is we will run through these with you to give you an idea as to what they are and how they work. And then our clients really do have the choice to be able to go in and turn these on if they feel that they're worthwhile for their business. And they are broken down as well. So we do have some administrative automations that can work across all departments. We've got our specific leasing automations for our leasing module around inspection, bookings, viewings, and the application process. And we also have obviously our sales related automations, and included in that are some prospecting automations and marketing automations as well. But how did you find the library, Taryn, when you were onboarded with Eagle?
It's a wonderful gift to be given to a user, a subscribed user. I think so many people think that there's, it should be standard. I think when you look at what is here, whilst yes, it is standard, a good standard offering, when you actually look at what's here, there is so much that you can, you don't need someone dedicated to be supporting you. You've just got to take the time to just understand the power behind these automations. And I would really like to touch on the property management side of things here, because I think this Eagle doesn't just do the sales side of things. There's the leasing module, which is really a good offering. And this particular one we use quite extensively in the office. So there's a few here where you've got a current tenant, and it's very clever because the software knows who your current tenant is. It communicates to them and reminds them of any scheduled upcoming inspections. And I think for us, whilst you issue your legal side of things, of entry notice and so on and so forth, this is just another way to remind them that we are coming and we're having an inspection at a property you're currently a tenant of. In the event that we have any cancelled open homes that are scheduled, again, it goes out to them to just let them know that it is no longer happening. Yeah. Whilst that looks really simple, it's just so important because, you know, we're rushing all over the place all the time. And I think we mustn't forget to service our existing clients as well as our future clients.
Definitely.
So I really like that one for the current tenant. And then as we move further on down the list, we've actually got a potential tenant. So when a tenant or when a person inquires, they are captured in the system looking to rent. And we actually have an automation there, which now they're part of that cycle. They get a reminder that there is an open on the one that you've inquired, there is an open home. And we like to encourage people to register. And that just allows our office to sort of see who the interest, well, we can see the interest, but we can see who potentially is going to come, which may result in it being cancelled for whatever reason, if there's not enough people, but we're not in that market. But the fact is that there is that option there. Yeah. And then once they've received that and they've confirmed their booking, there's just another layer of service where we're like, thank you for your registration. We'll see you at the open home. Obviously, if you want to manage that booking, you can cancel at any time. So again, it's also the communication back to the office is really important. Definitely. So once they attend, they're now an inspection attendee, and they then get sent from that a digital application form, which is connected with our Eagle leasing module. And whilst that is such a good form to have, and I hope, and a lot of our customers are already on that form versus the one form. I understand the one form idea, but when people know what the Eagle leasing online form is like, you wouldn't go back to anything else. And I think my team can vouch for that. But you've got the online form, it goes into the system and it captures the co-occupant, and that triggers them another form to fill in. And it attaches itself all together. Then we have the reference checks. We have all the supporting documentation that's needed for the property management team to be able to assess the applicant and then communicate all that information to the landlord. Hopefully in that process, we have a successful applicant. And in that, they get a congratulations, you've been successful. And part of that is then the smartness of the software, working out what the bond will be based on the what's loaded in the system and the deposit, because there's normally 2 weeks sort of rent, so it calculates all that, which is fabulous. So you don't have to manually go in and put the dollar values, and then obviously the details to pay your deposit and your bond and so on and so forth. Everybody else who then is unsuccessful gets an email to let them know that they're unsuccessful. And is there anything we can do to help them find their next home? Unfortunately, at this point, you're not suitable. Yeah. And I think it just further confirms and supports our customer service. I can't stress how important that is for our office. Yeah. And I think we've had some wonderful feedback from tenants who have now come in to, collect their keys and their welcome hamper. And they said it was such a seamless process. And it's great to know that it works so beautifully. And this is not me creating it. It's just the power of Eagle and all the clever people that have contributed to this library.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. That's fantastic to hear. And it's great that that system is working for you. And sometimes, unfortunately, the property management department is very much forgotten in CRM solutions. It's very much geared around the sales side. But I know for a lot of our clients and a lot of other agencies, the property management department should really be tapping into the CRM, should be engaging in automations to streamline that process, because you need to have, at the end of the day, tenants are people, and we need to look after people.
Absolutely.
And these tenants could invariably one day become purchasers, or people choose to rent but purchase elsewhere. So you know, taking that approach and providing a high level of customer service to tenants is really important. Tenants could become influencers of their parents who need to sell their properties. So everything you do with the tenants will have an impact down the line somewhere. And that's something that hopefully these automations will help with that customer experience and lead to more business for you in the future. So that's fantastic. Thanks for that.
And the nice thing is that if you're not technical or you don't have the time, I just want to acknowledge the support system at Eagle Software. It's absolutely world class.
Okay, thank you very much. That's great. Our team, you know, yes, it's hard working in support. You're always dealing with issues or feature requests and things like that, but we really appreciate it when clients like yourselves give us that feedback or leave positive reviews on our Google reviews. That's fantastic. And we're very proud of our support team. And there's no way that I would be able to offer Eagle as a solution to people without having that support there behind the scenes. It's really important.
That's right. That's right. They're the front line and they're extremely knowledgeable. And it doesn't matter who you talk to in the team. Everybody knows, and they know your, they know where you're up to if you're trying to build something or work on something. And I think that's really important because it's not set up and forget about it.
Yeah.
So, and if you want to become master in yourself, they have the time to share and you don't ever feel rushed on the phone. And if it takes 3 phone calls, which I've done many times, I just run me through it again. Can I just, as I'm learning, and it's never a problem. So I just want to commend the team for all their hard work.
Thank you very much for that.
It's a pleasure.
Excellent. So as we mentioned at the very beginning of the webinar, we thought we might toss around some ideas to really help you think about how can we generate and nurture leads, and especially using automation for that. So I've put together a couple of ideas that I think a lot of people might be able to take away from today to think about how they can implement it into their businesses. And the first one I came up with was, if you were to go to your website, just, after this session today, go and look at your website and pretend you're a consumer. So when they first come to your website, do you have a call to action on the homepage? And what do we mean by a call to action? Well, invariably, and we all know that buyers and tenants are going to the portals to, find out available properties, and that's a given. But what about the people who are thinking of selling their properties? They're comparing you against other agencies, or people who are maybe disgruntled with their management service. They're coming to your website to find out more about you. On your website, do you have something that could really get their attention and try and get them to opt in for more information about the service that you provide? So, and we've got people who can help you with this. So we have the ability to have pop-ups or a lead capture form built in right in the middle of your website to try and generate leads from that. That's just the first step. And we've got to make those forms as simple and easy to fill in as possible, because we know that people don't like filling in big, long forms. So something that just quickly grabs their name and their email, possibly their phone number. And then what we can do is opt them into a drip communication. And that could be a series of emails that are spread out over the course of weeks or possibly months, preferably days, because we want to try and reach out to these people as quickly as possible. And we can also incorporate follow-up tasks within those types of automations. So that's just one idea. The second idea we've had is at your inspections, especially on the sales side, and if you're wanting to grow your rent roll, it's really important to try and classify those people coming to those inspections for sale properties. And it's a simple case of asking a question. Are you looking to live in this home, or are you looking for it as an investment? If they do identify themselves as investors, then we can obviously put them into an investor group, and then we can start communicating with them about the benefits of using our property management service. So again, this might be something you need to collaborate with the sales department to find out that information, but that's certainly something that will help you generate more leads to grow the rent roll. And the third point that we have here is the use of SMS code words. Eagle does offer this service, and it's very simple. If you've ever entered a property into Eagle, you've probably seen the field that says SMS code words. And where this can be really beneficial is in those areas where you're doing outside marketing. So we're talking signboards, we're talking DL campaigns, car wraps, bus stop adverts, anything like that. We need a very clear call to action on those things. And what we can do is set up a code word. And I've just used an example of sell. So if someone was at the bus stop and they were thinking of selling and saw your advertisement, there could be a call to action that would say, text your name and the word sell to this number, and I will send you the top 10 tips on how to get the highest and best price for your property. So that is a way that we can use SMS to quickly capture those people's details. SMS is great because we get their phone number and we can pick up the phone and call them pretty much straight away. Then we can also opt them into other email communications from that point. But that was just one or three ideas that we felt that could help you generate some new leads for your business. And obviously we've got a team of people who can help you set up nurture sequences within Eagle moving forward to look after those leads.
And just on that last point, the SMS code word, that's also a really good way to measure your return on investment. So when you're putting all that spend into material of, like you said, the DL or the signboard, how many eyes, you can't measure eyes on that sign, but what you can measure is those people who've taken the action to text the word sell, as an example. So it's a really good cost-effective way to see how your business is performing out there as well.
Definitely. Yeah. So they're just three ideas. We're happy to shop around with people other ideas that they might like to include for their lead generation program. So please reach out and let us know. So we're about to head into our Q&A session, and we do have some questions here, but just before we're doing that, what we might do is ask our second question or poll of the afternoon. And if you could take about 30, we'll give this about 30 seconds. And it is a simple question. Would you like to have a chat with Eagle about anything that we've gone through today? So we have a team of people. If you are a client, we will reach out to you and let you know, or maybe set up a time where we can go through some of these ideas. If you are considering Eagle, please let us know if there was anything raised in this webinar that you'd like to explore further. So yeah, that'd be great. If you could just do that, we'll give you an extra 10 seconds or so. And if you do have any questions, now's a good time to go up to that Q&A area within the Zoom section or your Zoom menu and just pop your question in there. And Taryn and I will get to that very shortly. So we'll close that off in another 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. And you've always can visit our website and reach out to us that way as well. So I'll just end this poll. Thank you very much for those people who responded to that. We'll be sure to come back to you very soon. So let's have a look at some questions that people have posed us. So, okay. Trini has asked, can I please know where I can find the standard automations already? Okay. Yes, it might be not obvious to people where they are within your Eagle system. So if you follow your menu down the left-hand side and under Tools, you will see an option that says Automations. So if you click in that area there, you will see all the preloaded automations in your library. We have another question here. How many automations are there in your library? I think last count, and we are constantly adding to the automations as well, but there's just over 100 automations that are pre-written within Eagle. Now, I do realize as well, there might be some people who have been clients of Eagle for quite a while, and we do update the automations. So if you were wanting the most recent automations, please contact our support team. Have a chat to them first, because there might be some automations that are already turned on and we might need to merge them in with what you've already got going. Okay. Oh, here's one for Taryn. Taryn, what is your favorite automation within Eagle?
Oh, that's a good question, a very good question. But I think they all equally are effective and carry out such an important function. But I think I'm going back to what we do and what we think about all the time is our customer. So I think keeping our customers informed of the inspection times, or changed or cancelled, very simply, and once they sold and leased, because then again people can just move on, and they are so incredibly frustrated at the moment because things are going so quickly. I think that's just a really simple and effective way just to keep people abreast of our activities.
Yeah, there's actually one other automation that's triggered by the mobile app, and it's great for people who might be running late to an inspection because, you know, traffic and delays and things like that. There's a running late feature on the inspection. So you can swipe, I think it's to the right, and there's an option there for running late, and you can nominate 5-10 minutes that you're running late, and it will notify everybody who's going to that inspection that you're just a little bit behind. So that's another great one as well. Excellent. We have a question here. How easy is it to use the marketing automations when I join Eagle? Do I get training? Yes, you do get training, depending on the modules that you take on, especially, well, automations are typically included in our standard CRM package. So we do cover the automations with you, and we can do a specific section on automation training. In our library of training videos, there is a new video on automations as well. It's right up the top for those people who aren't aware. So if you are an Eagle user, please go up to you'll see the question mark icon, and under there you'll see Eagle Academy, and it's the third video working from the left, I believe. So that's a brand new training video on our automations module. But again, please reach out to our support team. We can set up a time for one of our trainers to run you through the marketing automation.
And there's just a couple of people, sorry, Trevor, in the chat versus the Q&A are saying they can't see that they're automations. What you just need to do is put a call through to support, and it's probably just a simple correction. And then you'll see the stack sort of come in based on your settings and your count.
Yes. Any questions you might have, if you can't see something or find something within the software, please reach out to our support team, pick up the phone or send an email. Use the chat service that's within the Eagle software as well. That's available to you. Yeah, so please reach out to us. Fraser from South Coast Property Specialist, I believe, is asking me for an example of a homepage opt-in form. I will get that to you, Fraser. So yes, thank you for that question. We do have some examples of those opt-in forms, and if you'd like, again, to reach out to us and ask us for those, we will send you examples of what some of our clients are doing with those opt-in forms. Okay, Taryn's favorite automation. Everyone wants to know about Taryn's favorite automation, which is great. Okay, Paul Ericello, I think Mint Property Agents, has a question. He's looking at AI like Rita. Are we considering something like this? Yes, we certainly are, Paul. And in fact, what I might do, you're actually, be worthwhile us setting up a time to show you what we've been working on. I can't let too much out at this point in time. I probably shouldn't have said anything, but just to say that we are looking at that whole AI offering, and AI is one of the, I don't know, it's a term that's being thrown around at the moment. It is good. It does tie in with automations somewhat. And we are looking at making our AI offering simple and easy to use, just like the software. So it's not overly complicated, but again, yeah, to help you communicate more with your database, try and generate more leads for the business. Okay, so Taryn, would you share your automations? That's a good question.
Oh, that's a tough question. Oh, look, there's so many things to dive into, and I think just take the time to sort of look at the CRM and what its function is, because creating the automations is just think of the methodology you need or you'd like to happen, And then there's all these things inside that will connect it for you.
Yeah.
So whilst I have automations running, it may not be necessary to you. And we have in our library, we have over 127 automations, but of that, we've actually turned quite a few off because I've customized mine, and we have 76 automations running. Okay. So there's a bit of both going on. There's the stack, which is supporting other functions of the CRM, like particularly the property management side of things, where the customized ones is coming is primarily for the sales, because they're two very different beasts.
Definitely, yeah. And yeah, it's interesting when we do onboard some new clients, they just want to turn them all on, and you do have to be very careful, because
you've got to be slow and steady wins the race, because I think it's as from having the demo to onboarding with the team, it's a great process. There is a lot to take in at the time. So obviously I'm talking to a lot of people who've already gone through that experience. Sometimes it's nice to just sit tight and just watch what everything does and understand. Maybe I've got that gift of time to help Sash & Gable Property, but if you just slowly understand what each piece is doing, and of course, if you don't, like I said before, the training with the team is absolutely brilliant. There is the Eagle Academy, which is very helpful if you prefer to see videos versus, shown. And then there is the release notes that come out every time. So there's really no excuse not to know what's going on in Eagle. And I know probably a lot of effort goes into that, and it's not wasted, certainly in our team. So thank you very much for that time. But those release notes are really important, because they're snippets and they videos of what to do. And if you don't have it there, well, guess who's getting a phone call? Our wonderful support team to say, guys, help me, So, and then there's also the chat inside the CRM if you're not a calling person. So there's very much the support there, and the training. And just over time with my team, I've been able to take on that role and train in conjunction with Eagle. So I feel very, very blessed to be the team have been very patient, both Sash & Gable and Eagle Software. So thank you very much.
No, that's great. Thank you for that. Yeah. So that's my tip too, for people to take it slow and steady with the automations, maybe turn one on for a few days, see how it's going, fine tune it, and then delve into some of the other ones. But there are some basic, not mandatory, but ones that should really be turned on from day one as well. But the team will go through those.
Absolutely. There is critical ones that need to be there to help you function, which is very important. I think when you start being a little bit more strategic in your offering or your plan for your team or your year or your business, depending where you are, then that's when you can really take your time on it, because once you set it up, it's a very powerful tool. And inside Eagle, away from the automations, is the filtering and the management of your contacts. Again, a very powerful feature in the software. So I think a lot of people take that for, granted, that it's there, because they're dealing with the here and now, what's happening right now. I'm listing, I'm selling, I'm renting. I'm only dealing with the loudest noise. But when you start actually being a bit more strategic in your prospecting, very powerful functions behind the scenes.
That's right. We have another question here. I'm a tech novice. Would they be something I could set up for myself? My answer is yes. I think you can. But again, there's always that support there to help you. And that's where some of our best automations have come from, is our clients who have given some thought as to how they want them to run, and then they approach us and ask us if we can help them building those automations. So they are very simple and easy to understand. There's a step-by-step process, quite logical. You can delete steps. Even the existing automations, you can modify those if you don't want to include certain actions. So that's,
and you can possible. And it, like, you can change your words. It's very, very flexible. So it's great. It doesn't have to be what's already loaded.
Exactly. Another question here. Do the same set of automations, triggers, conditions, activities, etc., are they available to every client regardless of their subscription level? Thanks. There are different automations depending on your subscription level. And I think the best thing to do would be to probably reach out to our office and have a chat to James. James is our client success manager, and he can look at what you're doing in your account. He can maybe suggest some automations, and it does depend on your level of subscription, because the leasing module has its own set of automations within it. So if you don't have that module, then those automations won't appear in your account. But in terms of the triggers, in terms of the types of communications you can add into an automation, they're all standard. They're all across the board. So there's no issues with that one as well. We've got a question here from Linda for Taryn. What have you found in terms of training needs to, number one, getting the team members up and running, and number two, to keep them up to speed over time with new tools, options, and so forth? You might have covered a bit of that in your previous answers, but is there anything else you'd like to add to that?
Well, I think that's it. It all goes part of the continual evolution of the product, which is great because they're doing a lot of changes and improvements, which are covered in the release notes. And then it's also primarily in the release notes, but then they're developing your Eagle Academy, which is really good. But there's also other benefits and advantages to other platforms that Eagle has. And I think it's so flexible and so customizable and so fresh in the marketplace. So it makes, I feel our office is very comfortable, and we've had quite a few new team members, and they've taken it to like duck to water, where it's been very simply, and obviously part of our onboarding process is the training, and whatever I can't cover, I certainly make sure that the team at Eagle can help in any way. So I think I think for me, it's a great piece of software to use.
Oh, that's great. And just on the training, there is different training for different departments as well. So for a new sales agent into the business, we wouldn't have them sitting the administration part of the training. They very much concentrate on contact management, the app. And really that's about it, unless they are going in and sending out bulk email campaigns and so forth, or managing the website. So yeah, if you do have new team members, maybe first point of call is to check out the Eagle Academy with the various training videos, and they are self-help, so you can go and watch them. They're only small bite-sized videos, 2 to 5 minute time pieces each. So yeah, it's really worthwhile. Then if the team are needing more assistance, please contact support and we can help you. Okay, so we have quite a few questions here. We have a question from Adam. We do have to wrap this up very quickly, guys, and I apologize if we can't get to everyone's question, but we will come back to you after the webinar with answers to your questions. So once again, thank you very much for taking the time to ask those questions. Adam's asking, hello, will there be a trust accounting module soon? In terms of sales trust, we do have that. It's fully integrated with the CRM. So Sales Trust Eagle can definitely help you in that regard. And I suppose on the other side, in terms of property management trust, the good news is, and if people aren't aware, Eagle has joined PropTech Group, and you might have noticed some of the PropTech Group branding in this webinar today. So PropTech Group does have an offering for property management trust via Voltare. So if that is something that you're looking at, please let us know. The plan is to have somewhat of an integration with that, but we are still working through the details of that. So if you are looking for a property management trust solution, let us know and we can put you in touch with the right people for that. We'll just keep running through some of these questions. Are there any, good question here from someone. Are there any automations around websites? There certainly are. Again, one of the tips that we offered was someone who opts in to a page on your website that can have an automation running off it. Anyone that inquires on a certain property can be opted in automatically to receive property alerts. So that is in effect an automation. So by them inquiring on a certain property type, the system will automatically take the features of that property and apply them to that person as their preferences. And with the alerts being turned on, any other listings that are similar will be automatically sent to that person. So that's one very simple example of I suppose, a website automation that's tied in with the CRM. And it sort of leads me to another point, that it's really important to consider having your website fully integrated with your CRM, because it makes it so much easier to manage new inquiries that come in off your website. And again, with anything that's leaving the CRM, it's very easy for us to be able to direct them back to more information on your website. And also we can analyze and show you specifically who is clicking and what they're viewing on your website. And if you haven't done it, and I'd encourage our clients to go in and have a look, if you do have a website with Eagle, click on the website menu, then click on the left-hand dashboard button, and you'll be able to see the traffic sources to your website. And if you scroll down a little bit further, you'll be able to see who are the most engaged contacts in your CRM that are visiting your website. And they're the areas that you need to go to find new opportunities. People don't click or open something unless they're very interested. So we need to see who those people are. We need to start servicing those people. So check that out.
And can I just add to that very
Certainly.
quickly? There's also a really great feature on Sash & Gable's website where we actually are putting in a buyer demand or a tenant demand, where
Yes.
you can actually go and put your home's criteria. And then because we're connected with the CRM, we can see people in our CRM who are potentially ready to act on a home that might be of their. So if I'm a prospective landlord, I can actually go onto Sash & Gable and have a quick see who's in the CRM that could potentially match my home. So that's another way that people are actually looking around before they take action, but they are so well informed. And it also helps our team find people when a landlord does come in based on their preferences, because we've collected all that information that already we might not necessarily need to take it to market, because we've actually already got X amount of people based on your home criteria and their preferences. So there's so much more to it than just, the automation. So it's very exciting. I do recommend making sure you do integrate all those little bits, because it actually just helps you in the long run.
Definitely. Well, are you happy to hang around, Taryn, for a couple more
That's
questions?
Sure.
Yeah, we've just got a few more in here.
Okay.
So we'll try and make understand people's time. So Leo asks a question: is there a better way to design a form to collect clients' information? What words or other kind of payback should be presented to really encourage people to leave their information? I think that's a fantastic question, because on your website, and if you are wanting to collect information from people, what's in it for them? What are you going to give them to get their name and their email and start to communicate with them? Taryn, do you have any thoughts on that?
I think it's, at the end of the day, it's servicing their needs and their customer service, because whilst I'm not a sales agent myself, I come very much from the administration and the technical side of things. I think it's how you deliver your messaging. And I think in that you're going to have people wanting to share this information. It's your tone, it's your language, and it's not all, shouting words in capital letters. And, so I think it's really important. And then it's the follow through from that once you get that information and how you deal with that person.
Yeah, exactly. My biggest bugbear, and I hate it when it hits my letterbox, is the free appraisal. We've got to get more creative as an industry as to trying to offer something more than a free appraisal, because I can walk down to my town and I can walk in and get 5 free appraisals in 10 minutes, no problem at all. I think what we really need to do, coming back to Leo's question, is offer them something of value. What can you offer them that they can't normally get, which will help them in their decision to move or not, and it could be things outside the box, like maybe a checklist for home improvement, or a moving guide, or something like that, something a little bit different, as aside from just the offer of telling them what their property's worth, where in most instances vendors have a fairly good idea as to what they think they're going to get for their property.
That's right. There's so much information out there that the agents have got to really sort of think about their their offerings and how they do things, because like I said, they're so well informed.
That's right. The consumer is definitely.
Mm.
We have another question here from Jenny. Jenny says, can I use the one inbound SMS number for multiple purposes? The answer is yes, that's true.
Mm.
What we do is we create a virtual number. So that number stays the same, but what changes is the SMS code word. So you can create as many code words as you want for that type of marketing. And you can apply those code words to particular properties. You can have a generic code word that's being used. So what Eagle does essentially is identifies which code word people are using and applies that code word to the appropriate automation. Okay, so if you need further help with understanding how that works, Jenny, please reach out to our office and we'll happily show you. And I think we have time for just one more question, and it is for Taryn. And I think Taryn has covered a lot of this, but it's probably a good way to end the session. Taryn, what are the key benefits, advantages, value adds of Eagle versus other platforms you've used before? How much better do you find it? Bits, vastly, lots?
Vastly. Is the short answer. Again,
right.
Looking back at what has been out there, what our agents have used, what their experiences have been, I think, again, I go back onto the flexibility of it. It's very unique in that way where you can customize a lot of things. Obviously, there's the standard offering, but you can layer on that. And I think that is going to very much put you on the front foot. And I feel that is a great advantage for any agent or agency using the software. And there's so many other things that we can share. I know this is not the time for it. Maybe it's another discussion altogether, but there's so much to dive into. I think it just have the time just to cruise around and click a lot of places and understand what it does. Definitely. If time permits you.
That's right. And on that note, I think we'll end our Q&A. Thank you very much. Again, I'd like to thank everybody who has taken the time to be with us this afternoon. We hope you were able to get something of value from this session. But I think the big thing to take away from here is that the Eagle team is here to help you in what you're doing. Please don't be afraid to reach out to support, to myself. I don't have all the answers, but we will find someone who does have those answers for you. Again, I would like to thank Taryn very much for giving her time here today. Taryn, it's great to have you as a client and being able to share your wisdom with our clients and others who are interested in automation within their business. So thank you very much for that.
No, thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure, and I hope I've imparted some information to everybody who's taken time to join, and I hope to be part of another one, no doubt, in the nearest future.
Definitely. We look forward to having you on then. So
thanks so much.
Thank you very much, Taryn. Thank you very much, everybody.
It's a pleasure.
I'm Trevor Bragg. Feel free to reach out to us. Have a great day, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.